Imagine two children sitting in the same classroom, the same teacher, the same lesson, the same textbook, the same amount of teaching time, yet one child thrives and the other struggles. Why? For a long period of time, humanity has tried to solve this mystery. Some believe intelligence was the answer, and others blame motivation. Some then pointed to parenting, and then others focus on genetics. Yet, educational psychology discovered something very fascinating. Learning is far more complicated than simply exposing a child to information. Given the day and age that we are living in, information can be easily generated with AI. One of the biggest misconceptions in education is that teaching is primarily about the topic: mathematics, science, reading, language, history. But educational psychology tells us something different. Teaching actually has 3 essential components, and understanding these 3 components may completely change the way we think about education. Now, many times we hear the comment, "The child is giving me a hard time." But have we ever then paused and listened to the child? The child is not giving us a hard time, but rather the child is having a hard time. Understanding them is key. Before we try to impart what we know to them, we need to understand them first. Because if we only know the topic but don't know the child, then we are just giving information. And if you're giving an information in a different language to a child that is understanding English, that information can be completely not received or not received well at all. Now, over time, I have come to believe that effective teaching rests on 3 pillars. Not 1, 3. Now, pillar number 1, knowing the child. Pillar number 2, the child knowing you, or the child knowing me. And pillar number 3, the topic itself. Now, a lot of people focus almost entirely on pillar number 3, which is the co-curriculum, the lesson, the textbook, the topic. But educational psychology repeatedly shows that the first 2 pillars often determine whether the third pillar succeeds. Now let's talk about pillar number 1, knowing the child. Now, before teaching begins, we must understand who is sitting in front of us. Now, every child arrives with a different brain, a different developmental profile, different strengths, different weaknesses. They have different communication styles, they have different fears. They also come with different motivations. And educational psychology examines their attention, their working memory, their language, their executive functioning, their sensory processing, their emotional regulation. A child with weak working memory may forget 3-step instructions. A child with language difficulties may understand far less than they do appear. A child with anxiety may know the answer, but unable to respond. The lesson may not be the problem. The learner profile may be missing the piece. And great teaching begins with understanding the child. Pillar number 2, the child knowing us. This pillar is often overlooked. The child must also learn the teacher. Children need to understand how we communicate, what is our expectations, how we explain concepts, and how we provide feedbacks. What our routines may mean to them. The way a student may learn us can be as simple as when we put the textbook on the table, they throw the textbook on the floor. This is them trying to get to know us, to check our response. What am I going to do if I throw the book on the text floor? What will teacher Kevin do? Will teacher Kevin scold me? Will he become angry? Will he say, "No, cannot do it"? Will he go and pick up the book? Will he ignore me? What is teacher Kevin going to do? Or will he redirect me to another thing? What is teacher Kevin going to do? The more the student understands us, the more they understand our routines, our consistency, the more trust develops for them. Research consistently shows that strong student and teacher relationships improve learning outcomes. Because why? Because learning occurs through relationships, not merely through information. And now it brings us to pillar number 3, the topic itself. And only now do we arrive at the curriculum after understanding our child and after the children understanding us. Then the content, the knowledge, the skills, and the subject matter. Notice that the topic comes third. Not because it is less important, but because knowledge enters through a learner and through communication. Without the first 2 pillars, even excellent content can fail. This framework will guide everything else we discussed today. Because motivation, intelligence, assessment, and learning theories all operate within these 3 pillars. Now, let's talk about motivation. Imagine 2 students completing homework. One studies because they love learning. The other studies because they are afraid of failing. Now, the behavior looks very identical, but the psychology is completely different. Educational psychologists often divide motivation into 2 major types. There is the extrinsic motivation. Now, extrinsic motivation comes from outside the individual. For example, grades, rewards, money, praises, good job, or punishment avoidance. A child studies because I want an A. That is extrinsic motivation. A worker works because I want my salary. Also extrinsic. Extrinsic motivation can be very powerful. Within our 3 pillars model, teachers often use extrinsic motivation to strengthen engagement with the particular topic. But there is a danger. If the reward disappears, the behavior may disappear too. And this is why intrinsic motivation is very important. Now, intrinsic motivation comes from inside. The activity itself becomes rewarding. It is curiosity drives behavior. It is interest drives persistence. It is passion that drives the effort. For example, a child reads because reading is enjoyable. A scientist studies because curiosity drives them. A musician practices because they love music. Research consistently shows that intrinsic motivation is associated with greater persistence, better creativity, deeper learning, and higher satisfaction. Now, the challenge for educators is not merely getting students to work. The challenge is helping students want to learn. Instead of giving worksheets, use toys. Use physical science experiment. Let it be engaging, let it be fun. Because learning is fun. Learning is by observation and observing what we see and what makes us curious. Learning isn't just notebooks and worksheets. It is more than that. Educational psychologists consistently find intrinsic motivation produces deeper learning because the child develops a relationship with the topic itself. The strongest learning occurs when the child trusts the teacher. The teacher understands the child and the child becomes genuinely interested in the topic. And when all 3 pillars align, motivation becomes powerful. I would like to ask a question. Why students explain success and failure differently? 2 students fail at the same test. One will say, I'm stupid. While another say, I need a different strategy. Same outcome, but different future. Educational psychologist Bernard Winner proposed the attribution theory. Now, according to him, people explain success and failure using 3 different dimensions. Number 1, logos. Where is the cause? Is it internal, where it is about intelligence or effort? Or is it external? Is it due to luck? Is it due to a teacher? Or is it due to difficulty? The second thing is stability. Is that cause stable? And stability refers to whether the cause changes over time. Some stable causes could be like genetic conditions or a certain fundamental status of task, whether it is too difficult or too easy, something that doesn't change. The unstable means effort, inconsistent effort, or the mood. And the third thing is controllability. Things that are controllable are like practices, revision, time management, things that we cannot control, natural disasters, or some disabilities. A student who thinks that I failed because I am stupid, he is struggling with something that is internal, something that is stable and uncontrollable, because this often leads to helplessness. And a student who thinks I failed because I need a different strategy, this is something internal. I failed, yes, but it is unstable. It is not that I always fail, and it's something that I can control, and this promotes resilience. So teaching how a student interprets failure is just as important as a teaching content. A teacher who understands the student can shape these interpretations. How do humans learn? For over a century, psychologists have searched for answers. There are two major discoveries that change education forever. The first one is called classical conditioning. Ivan Pavlov, a Russian psychologist, he made an accidental discovery. He noticed dogs salivated before food arrived, and the dogs had learned to associate sickness with food. Ding, 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 the bell ring. Food. Eventually, bell alone gives salivation. Every time the bell ring, ding, 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 the dog, the saliva all drips out. The dog formed an association, and this became known as classical conditioning. In schools, this happens as well. A child repeatedly experiences humiliation during mathematics lessons. Eventually, math equals anxiety. The child becomes nervous before the lesson even starts. Learning is emotional, and students are not merely learning facts, they are learning feelings. Next is operant conditioning. Then came a guy named Skinner, and Skinner asked, what happens after behavior? If behavior is rewarded, it increases. If behavior is punished, it decreases. And this became operant conditioning. If I reward them in their homework completion, they are more likely to do it more. When I punish a child for being disruptive, that particular behavior then decreases. When a child becomes stressed when it comes to reading, the child isn't avoiding reading. The child is avoiding the emotional experience attached to reading. And the teacher-child relationship becomes part of the reinforcement system, because children often work harder for teachers they trust, not because the topic changed, but because the relationship changed. There are a few powerful strategies that educational psychologists identifies. The first is called retrieval practice. Instead of reading notes repeatedly, try recalling information. The struggle strengthens the memory. Learning is a process. It is taking it into the memory, but the more important part is by being able to produce it out from memory. It is often easier to listen to a lecture and to think that we understand it, but now it becomes more difficult when we try to explain it. When we try to make a particular lesson relatable to a child, it becomes hard. The next theory is called the space practice theory, and this is an evidence-based learning technique that involves breaking the study sessions into shorter intervals and then spreading them out over days, weeks, or even months. And when we step away from a particular material and try to recall it over time, sometimes it's not easy, but it strengthens our memory and makes it more firm and more secure. And this is particularly important when it comes to tests to see if a child has learned it, internalize it, and then generalize it for personal use. Because by stepping away from the task and reviewing later on, if we observe and find that the child still remembers it, it is more likely that it could be permanent rather than when we repeat it over and over again. The third method that we can use is called interleaving. It means mixing up the topics that we have learned. Instead of focusing on one particular task or subject or chapter for too long, mix up the subject. Say for example, 1 hour session would be mixed with 20 minutes of math, 20 minutes of science, and 20 minutes of English. Mixing the topics improves transfer. But this helps the brain to pause, identify the problem in front, and select a correct strategy. By taking pauses and switching the task or the problem, it helps the brain to observe the task and concepts instead of just trying to memorize the patterns of notes. It helps to improve long-term memory as well as flexibility in problem solving. When the brain receives the chance to stop and think and process, it helps to build a better memory. The deeper the processing, the stronger the memory. The fourth method, it's called multisensory learning. And it is a learning that combines visual, auditory, touch, and movement. And by activating these different parts of our brain, it helps us to retain and recall that information far more effectively than listening alone. So for example, let's say you're writing the letter A. You're now saying A, you're looking at a letter A in front of you and you're drawing it in the sand. Now even evidence-based strategies must be individualized. A strategy only works if it matches the learner. So knowing the child remains essential. The best strategy for one learner may not be the best strategy for another. I want to take some time to talk about critical period. Now, one of the most fascinating ideas in developmental science is the critical period, where a particular period is a window during a development phase when the brain is especially sensitive to experience. Now, examples could be our vision development, our language exposure, our social attachment. Research on children deprived of language exposure suggests that early years are extraordinarily important because the brain is highly plastic. Connections form rapidly, and then learning occurs at incredible speed. However, there is an important debate, is that not everything has a strict critical period. Many researchers now prefer the term sensitive period. Learning remains possible later. A child who struggles early can still learn later through intervention. Progress can occur across the lifespan. Earlier is often better, but later is not hopeless. And the human brain remains adaptable throughout life. Understanding where a child is developmentally determines how we teach them, not simply how old they are, but where they are in their developmental milestones. Now, we arrive to one of the most controversial topics, which is intelligence. And what exactly is intelligence? In 1904, the French government needed a way to identify children who required additional educational support. So, a psychologist named Alfred Binet was asked to help. Binet developed tasks involving memory, reasoning, vocabulary, and problem solving. But his goal was not to label the children, not to say that they're stupid or they're slow, no. But his goal was to help them. Then, something fascinating happened. Researchers noticed a pattern. Students who perform well on one cognitive task often perform well on others. Vocabulary, memory, reasoning, and problem solving. These abilities seem to be connected. In 1904, Charles Spearman then proposed the concept of the G factor, the general intelligence. Now, according to Spearman, every cognitive task contains the G, which is the general intelligence, plus the S, the specific abilities. To better explain what is G and S and their correlation, I want you to think about a person who wants to do sports. So G will stand for his muscles, his flexibility, his agility, his stamina, his fitness. And S stands for the specific skills that he has, like maybe throwing a three-pointer in basketball, or kicking a penalty in football, or golf swinging. A very good fitness, good stamina who practice years for basketball would be like LeBron James or Stephen Curry. Or in the World Cup today, Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi. And say for example, where LeBron James now wants to switch and try football for the first time, may play poorly because the specific abilities are not familiar to him. He has high fitness sense and overall stamina, but him doing football is just the first time. So that particular skill is not familiar, he may perform poorly. But because his G his overall fitness is high. If he puts into practice, he can pick up football faster compared to a person who is unfit. Another person who is unfit may then try to practice dart throwing every day. They develop an amazing dart throwing technique or dart throwing arm. But while they are great at darts, these specific skills doesn't make them run faster or do sports better in other areas of their body because their body is not fine-tuned to it. So modern IQ tests attempt to estimate this general cognitive ability. Example they assess is like working memory, processing speed, verbal reasoning, visual spatial reasoning, and fluid reasoning. Vocabulary correlates with reasoning. Reasoning correlates with memory. Memory correlates with learning. And when all of this thrives at a good speed, a common factor seemed to exist. And this became G, the central processor of the brain. Many people ask, why assess a child? Why test out the IQ? Why do we evaluate them? How does IQ connect with teaching? Educational psychology answers this because we cannot truly know the child without assessment. Assessment helps us to understand their cognitive strengths, their weaknesses, their language abilities, their attention, their working memory, their processing speed, their learning profiles. Assessment strengthens pillar 1 of how an educator knows the child, their learning disabilities, their giftedness, their unexpected strengths, or their unexpected weaknesses. And by knowing all of this, there is a need of intervention, there is a need of support, there is a need of enrichment. An IQ score alone should never determine expectations, but understanding how a child thinks helps teachers teach more effectively. Assessment is not about labeling. Assessment is about understanding, and understanding leads to better teaching. A child may have average intelligence, but severe dyslexia. Without assessment, people may assume it's laziness. But with assessment, now people start to understand that this child is struggling. We start to understand the learning profile. Then the teaching changes, the intervention changes, and the child's future changes. Assessment should not be viewed as judgment. Assessment is information. And then with this information, it guides our teaching. Teaching then guides development, and development changes lives. Educational psychology ultimately teaches us one profound lesson. Learning is not about information. Learning is about relationships. The relationship between the child, the teacher, and the knowledge itself. Every successful classroom contains these 3 pillars. By knowing the child, help the child to know us, then only teach the topic. When educators focus only on the content, they are teaching subjects. When educators understand all 3 pillars, they are teaching a human being. And when we truly understand human beings, we do far more than improve grades. We change lives, we improve character, we improve learning experience, and that is the science of learning. We live today in the age of AI with specific stats and plans, and knowledge easily generates in a matter of seconds. So what is the purpose of an educator? Educator is more than teaching. We teach, we love, we inspire. This is what an educator can do that can never be replaced by a robot. So dear teachers, my fellow educators, the teaching job can be tough. It can even be expensive when we need to invest in more knowledge to pass on these informations that we have. Our students can be frustrating at times, but I hope I leave you with this picture behind. Someday what I hope when about to die is that I do not wish that I'm lying in my beach house in Bahamas where I park my Lambo behind, but that all the students whom I love will come surrounding my deathbed and call me teacher for one last time.